Alright, what's up guys? So this is going to be a really weird video, honestly. I've been wanting to do this for a while because I'm kind of a little bit of a nostalgic when it comes to technology. And I recently bought some stuff on eBay. When I got first on a computer, we had this storage device called a floppy drive. And a lot of people see the floppy drive now with the save button, right? And that's because you would save it to disk, right? And you would save it to a disk that looks like this. And they are literally floppy because they're floppy, literally. This is a 5¼ inch floppy disk. I don't remember if this is what density this is. It doesn't say on it. So when I first got into computers, a floppy drive like this would hold 360 kilobytes. That's it, 360 kilobytes. And then they had some like double-sided, double density, and I think that is actually, I think what this is, that's 360. And then I think there was a high density single-sided or something that was 720, or I might be totally off on these things. Then there was the last of this floppy that they had, and it was a high density, likely double-sided at 1.2 megabytes. So 1,200 kilobytes roughly, depending on if you're doing multiplier of 1,000 or multiplier of 1,024. So 5¼ inch floppy. What I did, so I bought actually a box of these because that's just who I am. I mounted them on the wall in my office. But what I also wanted to show you was prior to the 5¼ they had a floppy drive that was this size, and these things are huge. Essentially the same concept, just much bigger. Holds, I think, less data. So I got some floppies here. Now, really, what's the point of this? To show you guys some crappy floppies? Like, nobody cares about these crappy floppies, right? What I wanted to show you guys was a quick little website that I wrote, and don't pick on the coding abilities that I have. It's been a very long time since I've handwritten anything in the website side. I actually recorded the entire time I was typing, and most of it was like Google search, like because I had a concept of what I wanted to do, but I don't remember half of the JavaScript commands, functions, methods, and structure. So half of it was Googling for like, how do you do this? How do you do that? But anyhow, it took me about 55 minutes to do this quick little page that I want to show you. And essentially it is a website that does a how many floppies is that? And it just displays on the screen literally how many floppies it would take at 1.2 megabytes to store like common files that you might actually have or download or something like that. So yes, this is kind of dumb, but this is also kind of fun for anybody that's ever dealt with one of these, because imagine taking these guys and installing, DOS, Microsoft DOS, disk operating system prior to Windows. I would imagine that like DOS 5 was probably a few of these. Older versions of DOS might have been one. I don't know. I don't remember, honestly, but Windows was definitely quite a few of these. And then it got into 3.5-inch drives, which are a little bit, they're not quite as floppy. They're a little more rigid. And it's just impressive on how many of these would be used to store data that we find is a small download today. Like if you were to look at Fortnite as an example, because it's a big game, and you had to download whatever it is, 30, 40 gigabytes for the game, it would be literally an entire room full of these floppy drives, right? So let's get on to the showing you the code here. So here's my code. I wrote this simple web page right here. How big is the file? And then you can say kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, and then show me the floppies. And it'll say, so if it's a 10 kilobyte file, how many floppies does it take if your floppy holds 1,200 kilobytes? Well, that'd be one, right? So it's going to draw one little floppy disk on the screen. So some just simple HTML here. I probably didn't follow standards. I didn't use style sheets, but that's not the point. And then I got my little JavaScript here. And basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a canvas object, and I'm setting that canvas object basically to the size of the inner client area, whatever this is called in here. They call it client width, the body. So basically it makes it an object that goes from here to there. Yep. And then I have a click button function here that basically when you click this button, it runs this function. And what it's going to do is first parse this as, because this is text, first parse it as a integer. I mean, if you don't put something in there that's an integer, it'll crash it, but I'm not doing any catches here. And then basically what we're going to do is, based off of what you chose here in this drop down, size in kilobytes, I'm going to convert whatever you typed in here to kilobytes, which is why I've got these calculations here. And then we're going to say, how many floppies is that? So math.ceiling means round up. So even if it's like 0.1, it'll still round to 1. And size in kilobytes divided by 1,200 kilobytes, which is maximum storage in one of these floppies. So, and then that draw, this function here says basically draw in a random position inside the canvas this image, this floppy disk image. So let's have some fun with this. So let's pretend like you're going to download a picture. How many megabytes per picture on your digital camera? So last time I checked on my Nikon, I want to say that a picture is like, I don't know, anywhere probably from, if it's a RAW file, it's probably 15 megabytes, right? So one quick little click on my Nikon camera, 15 megabytes. Well, that would be this many floppies. Bam! I just clicked it, right? That many floppies. Bam, 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 bam. And it's pretty instantaneous, right? So if you remember back in the day, if you've ever written to one of these floppies, it just that's literally what it did. Just kind of made weird sounds like that. And it would take you quite a while to fill up that many floppies. And you're not going to do it in the amount of time that it takes to take one picture with your digital camera. So blah, blah, blah. Let's think about another file type that you might have. Let's pretend like you downloaded Minecraft. How big is Minecraft? Well, it's probably a couple hundred megs, maybe tops. No, it can't be that many, but let's pretend it is. That's 100 megabytes. That many floppies. That's a lot of floppies. Maybe I should put in here like how many this actually was, because I don't want to have to like count these. But I mean, if I had to guess, this is 100 floppies, right? You can just do simple math and it'll tell you it's less than 100. But let's take another example of a like a Windows installer disk. So and then we're getting huge now, but Windows installer is like an ISO for Windows 7, I think was, and for people that use Windows 10, you're probably like Windows 7. Windows 7, I think the ISO, the download disk, like how big that installer was for Windows operating system, nothing else, I think it was around 2 gigs. So let's just go with 2,000 megabytes, or we can drop down this list and just say, let's not do 2,000 gigs. That would be a lot of floppies. So this is the Windows 7 installer size, and there's your floppies. I mean, what is this? Like, can you imagine that many floppies in your room? This would be totally crazy. Totally crazy. So again, these guys here, and we just threw in, I don't even know how many this is, 2,000 divided by 1.2. It would be a lot. You'd have, 1,500 discs in your office. It would be like an entire bookshelf of floppies for Windows 7. And you can fit that in the palm of your hand in like a USB stick like this, right? So this little USB stick is 128 gigabytes. 128. I don't even know if I want to put that in there. Actually, you know what? What the heck? Let's try this. 128 gigabytes. Show me how many floppies. What do you think it's going to look like? I personally feel like it's just going to be, it's either going to lock up my browser because it's just too many, or it'll just be a solid like images, like the floppy will consume the entire screen. There'll just be a bunch of little holes everywhere. You ready? Oh my goodness. So it did take a while. That was quite the calculation. And I basically just filled my entire house with floppies, I think. I think that's probably pretty close. I mean, this would be like a truckload of discs in this little tiny thing here. A truckload. Okay, so for all you youngins out there that think that 128 gigabytes is no big deal, it's literally the size of my thumb, if that. When I was a kid, you'd have to rent a semi-truck to haul this thing that you can now fit and lose in your coin pocket in your jeans. Which, by the way, who uses coins? I mean, come on. Like, I don't even pay with cash anymore. All right, guys, so that's going to be it for this video. I know it was kind of a goofy video, but for some reason I wanted to do that, and I think it's probably because of nostalgia. I kind of wish that I could go back to the old days of simpler computer times. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching this totally useless video. See you in the next one.